Welcome to the Blue Ocean Solutions podcast, where we feature conversations with innovators and business leaders driving progress in clean tech, construction, and the renewable energy sectors. Our guest today is Tara Gupta, the founder and CEO of Map Collective from the Washington, D.C. area. Today, we're going to be discussing her multi-agent, AI-driven data and analytics SaaS platform that is reshaping how global supply chain is utilizing data and delivery. It's another example of true innovation. Welcome to the podcast, Tara. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Kreel. Thanks for having me.
Great. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and also explain your role and what you guys are up to at Map Collective.
Of course, yeah. So my name's Tara. I'm the founder and CEO of Map Collective. And we have really pioneered a new system for agentic AI to help process unstructured data within the supply chain in a way that creates ease and saves 80% or more of labor in this process.
Incredible. Maybe for our audience that aren't familiar with the term agentic AI, could you explain a little bit of that?
So, agentic AI is a term that really is emerging everywhere now in B2B. You'll see it a lot in just the conversations about AI. AI, if you think about AI as the search for mimicking human intelligence, then you can think of the large language models like ChatGPT and Claude or Perplexity as the language part of the brain, as the part where we understand and process dialogue. Then the agents, on the other hand, are functions that sit on top of these LLMs and are able to do tasks or have objectives. And so these are really the deductive or reasoning parts of the brain that are allowing us to take that one step further and organize our thoughts into a continuous process.
Great description. Thank you. And then so with Map Collective, tell us a little bit of the background. What was the reason that you got into this work? What was the problem that you were seeing in the marketplace and how you were presenting the solution?
So I started this work out of college initially, and my goal was really to map the imbalances of Earth systems. And this was really because of the enormous challenge we saw ahead with climate change. So we started mapping resources and we realized that there was a lot of data mismatch, a lot of lack of data sharing in the space. And so the fragmentation of data really pushed us to start solving that challenge. And that's where we started applying our knowledge or know-how on agentic AI. So under successive grants from for research and funding for research and development from the National Science Foundation, we've been able to actually develop this into a system that is regularly processing this information, bringing new information to these different users that are affecting these major supply chains across the globe, from food and beverage brands to automotive brands to governments, and to actually drive systemic change by helping these consortiums of cross-sectoral collaboration unite data even though they're trying to protect their strategic advantage.
Interesting. So what was that arc of kind of the inception to where we are today?
So the company was officially founded in 2020, which was after I was in school. I started business school, and the research grants we started in 2021 and now have extended out till 2027 for them. And we do plan to do more research work. We are very collaborative in our approach. However, we are also a for-profit entity, and so we work with clients and license our technology to them. And we are focused primarily on the process of continuous innovation, which is why that arc has happened. So what that means is we're continuously discovering AI is moving so fast that we're continuously discovering new methods where we can achieve that end goal, that end vision that we really started with in the first place, which is that resource balance, global resource balance.
Great. So how is business going for you? How has the feedback been from the marketplace and client acquisition?
Yeah, so the marketplace is definitely interested in solutions which can help them optimize and meet the barrage of regulations. So, from extended producer responsibility, which is a regulation starting in California on November 15th and then cascading throughout different states, it is really requiring organizations to help streamline their product data. And so that is something that we're seeing has immediate effect as well as the larger effects of how can we collaborate with organizations on forecasting how coffee bans are moving. So really, it's a broad range of activities that allow us to take this initial data set, the supply chain data, help make that process collaborative and alleviate the supplier fatigue in that process by deploying agents on the sides of the tier one suppliers as well, and helping them process unstructured data, even if they're a smaller tier one supplier who does not necessarily have a harmonized ERP system or an enterprise resource planning system, then we can still process their data. And so that allows them to dynamically respond to surveys and makes the whole system end to end easier to link.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, to summarize it, you basically take all this data, whether it's been structured or unstructured, gather it all up and present that to your clients in a very efficient way so that they can make real decisions on what the demands are on their retail side or the end, or also what are the demands along the way in the supply chains that may affect pricing or outcomes or availabilities. So all that data is then available to the client to make informed decisions on how to either grow, scale back, pivot inside of their business.
Exactly. So there is direct ROI from implementing this tool. So, what this allows construction companies to do is to streamline the process of understanding construction materials like cement, for example, understanding the scope three of that, and then also helping dissect a complicated subcontractor supply chain where each project might be different. So, each project, the cement, the wood, might be coming from a different source. In battery supply chains, this traceability is very interesting because of the EU battery traceability regulation, which is coming up. So that's already been encoded into law. And now folks are realizing, okay, we need to really make sure that we're ready for digital product passport regulation earlier rather than later.
Interesting. And so you kind of touched on it there, but I'd love you to expand on it. What trends, both macro or macro or micro, so global and local context, are influencing your business and the technology from development to development?
So trends that are influencing our business are primarily regulation is a huge headwind. So regulation in terms of US regulation around human rights, labor, EPR, extended producer responsibility, and then EU regulation around traceability, sustainability. A lot of the California regulations also push sustainability. So we're seeing scope 3 regulations in California as well. So really a lot of these major brands, a lot of the network, the larger network effect is that these companies have to pursue traceability and sustainability in even the scope 3 in the supply chain emissions. And so there is a need to do this in a way that is more efficient, that is not drawing time and attention away from the core business, and that is allowing these businesses to not only survive but thrive in this new environment.
Tara, so for you guys at Map Collective, just explain to our audience what size is the business at versus employees and also, ballpark revenue of your scope of impact financially.
So we've come out of a research phase where we were heavily investing into the research around developing these models, the data science, and now we've been transitioning into the commercial phase. We've been working with clients across different industries. So this includes automotive, food and beverage, consumer goods, and defense. And now we are including apparel and electronics in that as well. And so we are still growing. We're just landing new commercial clients now, but we expect that impact to 10x over the next couple years.
That's excellent. So, give us an example of a client that you've been able to work with and kind of a case study of the implementation once they were able to work with you. What was the results and the success that they had?
So, one example is that we were able to help a construction supply chain in looking at the scope 3 hotspots around cement. So, we were able to, as I mentioned, the issue with traceability in this case is understanding which subcontractors are buying concrete from what materials, where steel is in the supply chain, and how at the points at the different junctions in the supply chain is carbon emissions actually playing into this. And so this is where our tool can automatically synthesize or bring together all of that data from different sources and then measure that against facility level, organizational level data from climate trace or from emissions information from WAP time. And then we can bring that information into our tool and understand what the actual emissions are of either aluminum, steel, concrete, whichever material is being used.
That's incredible. How fast is this process happening?
So if all parts of the supply chain are integrated and if we're using only our data runs and only our external data sources, then we're able to do this in a matter of 3 to 6 hours. If we have to get permissions and buy-in from different folks within the supply chain, that's a lengthier process because there's the human component and also the component of proving value not only to the core customer but to their tier one suppliers. And so that is a either weeks to months process.
I can clearly see you guys have definitely moved from the research and development side into like the business side, right? And scaling. So what does the future look like for you guys? Where do you guys want to be in the next 6, 12 months, for example?
So, in the next 6 to 12 months, we really see this rolling out across these five core industries. And that is essential for us to create network effect within these industries. So, there's a lot of crossover, there's a lot of shared knowledge between the industries through collaborations like the Scope 3 Peer Group or the Sustainable Procurement Pledge. We want to make sure that we are serving major brands and their network of suppliers down to tier N. And so that will allow us to make sure that when we cover one tier one supplier that serves five different auto OEMs, we can make sure that they are dynamically responding to all of those audio OEMs and then maybe other folks across different industries. For example, if somebody's working in batteries, they're probably supplying to all the electronics industry, all the data centers, and all the auto OEMs. And so there is technology that is pervasive across these networks. And that's where we are really focused on these nodes where we can organize the data, encrypt the data, and share data across these corporate boundaries such that then we have a queryable system that helps us still maintain competitive advantage for each company, respectively.
As you move forward with the scaling and reaching out to these clients, what do those conversations look like? What is your strategy to get in front of the right brands and decision makers to bring them on as clients?
We have been very successful in getting in front of leadership at top brands. And part of that is the brand that we've built and the way that we've approached folks through these networks. And so we've built trust in panels and podcasts like this. We've built a lot of trust in our brand and in our research. And so we're approaching these companies with the knowledge that they have, plus we're bringing them new knowledge about agentic AI and transformation that is very clearly meeting a need of data connectivity that is missing, even when they have Sphera, Copilot, et cetera, deployed in their organization.
And when you see your business right now and where it's come from and where you want to take it, what would you say is working really well for you guys?
What's working really well right now is our agentic models. And so we process data in a way that I could have never imagined when I started this company. And so I think that that is really exciting to me. The fact that we're getting interest from Intel, we're getting interest from the defense community. We are seeing applications that we never dreamed of when we started this. And I think that the core mission of enabling balance on the planet and of even taking this to national governments and processing data around resources to enable peacemaking, I think is a very exciting potential for us.
That's super cool. I also agree with you. What I'm able to do in my business or with clients these days because of the implementation of AI completely surprises me to where I was a couple years ago. So I'm sure you guys are seeing the same thing. It's like the impact that we can have with the efficiency is so much greater than only a couple years ago, or even 12 months ago. So then on the flip side of that, Tara, what are some of the challenges or frustrations or time consuming activities in your business that you love to fix?
So I think what we need now, and the reason why we're raising now actually, is that we just need more people to be in these groups and to be client facing because we're in a growth period, and we're seeing that we need to be able to handle really the relationships across all these different sectors and making sure that we are bringing that specialized expertise to them as well.
Within that, sometimes when the tap gets turned on, to use that analogy, there can be new bottlenecks that potentially arise. Do you see any challenges with bottlenecks currently in your business or even future pacing if a lot of clients decided to like invest with you guys and come on board? Any potential bottlenecks in the way of your growth?
So the bottlenecks are really people, like having manpower internally, and then making sure that we are also at a level of we can deploy our agents dynamically across these different, because there is a level of implementation that needs to happen, even though the agents are ready and deployable today. We still need implementation efforts. And so that's where, for both of those things, we're also partnering with consultants. And I do hope that that can help us in some of this growth period.
So that sounds like both like a sales rep, sales managers, like client relations, and then also on the implementation side of the actual like technology going into the client's world. Is that, did I read that correctly?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then as you look into the future, even further down the road, how do you see the work that you guys are doing at Map Collective being part of the larger mission here with the renewable energy sector or with the environmentalism? What's the impact that you guys are going to bring to that sectors?
The renewable energy credit, believe it or not, has a big supply chain component. I think that we don't talk about it as much in renewable energy, but for example, the way that Mars is handling their renewable energy credits. Kevin is really a champion at Mars. Rabinovich is a champion at Mars of basically this Mars REC program, renewable energy credits that he's buying for his suppliers. And so there's really a lot of opportunity for renewable energy credits, which Google is also pursuing. And in pursuing that within the supply chain and really fueling that industry through these enterprise players. And so they're the same supply chain people that we're working with that are working on the scope 3 or working on that supply chain as a whole and the potential of the value chain.
If you could wave a magical wand in this process, and this wand either allows you to fix something that's internal or external in the landscape or in the trends, what would you like to either automate or change in the dynamic of bringing your product and your service to the marketplace?
I think there is a lot of fear around sharing data, yet sometimes people feel like it's okay to just drop their data into OpenAI without even turning on a privacy, going into the privacy portal. But I think, so there's a lot of contradictory, like misinformation. There's a lot of lack of knowledge built around AI because it's happened so quickly. And so I think that what I would change would be really helping companies overcome that fear around putting their data into a tool, be able to technologically diligence it and understand its encryption methods, understand what's safe, what's not safe. If I could help just educate folks on that very quickly, that would make my life a lot easier.
I think that is a shared mindset from a lot of people, myself included, helping people understand the advantage to the technology rather than the disadvantage that might be propagated sometimes in incorrect or false information. So it sounds like from your end, there you're fully aware of the need for security with the data.
So, how we protect data at Map Collective, we actually take it very seriously beyond just our internal certifications and our internal processes. We're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We are working on CMMC compliance, which is a federal level compliance for working with defense. We actually are forming our own cryptographic solution that helps us store items of data in encrypted nodes in data lakes. So each data lake that we use is actually on a decentralized acrylic graph. So each data lake it's almost like it has blinders on when we're looking at one data lake for a client versus another. So we're keeping those separate, which is not what any of the LLMs do, just FYI. So the LLMs that you're using now, they do not keep that data siloed. They use it to inform other data. So what we're able to do is protect the data when we're looking at packaging SKU data, when we're looking at internal supply chain data. That way, it won't be shared with a competitor, or it won't be shared even with a supplier, or vice versa. A supplier's data won't be shared with their buyer. But the information is still queryable when it comes to decision making. So that allows us to, in this network effect, still make decisions collaboratively and on chain.
Amazing. As we move towards the end of this show, maybe a couple final questions. One is, let's imagine ourselves 5, 10 years from now and this network effect that Map Collective is able to do and the impact and you're scaling, it's been working, you're bringing a lot more people on. Where do you see the larger impact? What does the picture look like in supply chains, the efficiency, and the end user experience?
So once we are able to really map balance all resources on this planet, what we are looking to do is even get down as granular as biogeochemical flows, ozone depletion, atmospheric aerosol loading, all of the different planetary boundaries that have been outlined in the Stockholm Resilience Center research. So we are focused on macro to micro, from steel and concrete plants all the way down to these chemicals and what chemical changes are happening in the atmosphere. So our vision is really to get down to that molecular level and get down to just that type of balancing model that then we're able to use as a global digital twin, as a digital twin of Earth and Earth systems, to balance and sensitize and then plan for futures that are most abundant for Earth.
I love that vision. As you're speaking, I can see how to be proper stewards of a resource, a planet, a community, you need accurate information on all aspects. And up until this point, I think we've been guessing a lot or or not wanting to know all the information. But if we had it all presented to us in a clear way, we could be making great decisions from day one. It sounds like that's the vision that Map Collective has as well.
Yes, to make unrefutable evidence clear to everyone in order to make those global decisions more effective.
Fantastic. Tara, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. For our audience members that want to follow your work,
So you can reach me just by we're very open. My LinkedIn, I'm always checking as if it's my phone. And we also, a little crazy of me, but founder life. And so we also have a booking link on our website. So if you go to mapcollective.com, then you can just go into the top right corner, book a call, and that goes directly on my schedule.
fantastic. And to our audience, of course, you can check down below in the show links. You're going to have all of those data points so you can find them very easily. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure to like and subscribe, share it with a friend that might be interested in working with Map Collective. Any final words, Tara, before we leave?
Really appreciate you bringing us on today. What you guys are doing is very interesting in terms of getting solutions and getting intelligence out there as well about what's going on in the space. So thank you for having me, and I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation.
All right. I appreciate you. Thanks, everyone. That's another episode of Blue Ocean Solutions Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.